I'm Isabel Stainsby, and I'm reading from Malinka by Dita Táborská. In a few minutes' time, it'll be 7 in the morning. You get into the lift, hit button 5, and check the floor plan to make sure that's where the gynecology department is. Another young woman is going up in the lift with you. She has a small suitcase. She's happy with your choice of floor, so she's going to the same place. You get out of the lift. There's already a huddle of women standing there on the corridor. Roughly half of them are accompanied by a man. Several of them have suitcases, but most have smaller bags. You're surprised by how many there are, and relieved in some way. You position yourself in a corner and concentrate on your somatic functions. Your breath, which catches in your throat. Your hunger, which is incompatible with the fact that you could not swallow so much as a crumb. On the way your bladder is filling, but fortunately isn't full. On the movements of your intestines, which are intense and noisy. On your thirst, which is tormenting you. You have a bottle of water in your bag. When you went to your appointment for pre-surgical samples and an ECG, the nurse gave you instructions telling you to bring one. But you aren't capable of taking that bottle out and drinking from it. You realise that the instructions also said to bring slippers. You meant to put them into your bag this morning, but you forgot. It seems to be taking a long time. The admission room doors open and an older woman is sitting at a desk inside. You assume that she will call in individual patients one by one, and that it will take forever. After a moment, however, she stands up. She has some papers in her hand, and she comes out. Terminations, come with me. The terminations move off, but out of all that crowd, you're one of only 3. Shame washes over you. It's hard to force your feet to walk, and to hold your body upright. The woman leads you to the department, then through it right to the other end. There you sit on chairs in the corridor, and wait some more. After a while, another nurse arrives. She addresses you all by your surnames, takes the payment forms, leads you into a hospital room and assigns you beds. The room contains exactly 3 beds. You have to change into the white shirts lying ready for you, put your clothes into a cupboard, and pull compression stockings onto your legs. She shows you how to put them on. There's a hole at the toe to fold over your sole so that your toes don't accidentally get stuck when you're under anaesthetic. The woman in the next bed is fat. As you will soon learn, she weighs precisely 100 kilos. She can't pull on the stockings. She puffs and pants, but can only get them as high as her calves. There's no way they'll reach her thighs. The nurse helps her trying to wrestle with the elastic fibres and pull at the upper edge to the maximum, but the distended fatty tissue simply will not squeeze into the limited space, so there's nothing that can be done. She'll just have to leave the stockings at calf level, at least for now. Then all 3 of you lie down on your beds again, and wait some more. Again, it takes eons. You're still not completely sure that you aren't dreaming this, just like the entire rest of your life. Like that new life inside you that has exposed you as weak and incompetent. You think of Roman, who didn't believe you. You hadn't even expected anything else, and that notion gave you permission, in a way, to not even tell him. But you thought he had the right to know. You hadn't even dreamed that he would believe you, because, after all, he already knows that you're a notorious liar and a promiscuous whore. Even if he had believed you, he wouldn't have been happy, because he doesn't love you, and would never want to have a child with you. So it makes no difference either way. You haven't bothered to consider what you would feel, say, or do if he joyfully hugged you, nestled against your belly, and told you he loved you, as if in a film. Maybe you'd think you'd definitively gone mad and were having delusions, or you'd faint, or run away. Or would you tell him you loved him back? And later, when the doctor asked, "Is this a wanted pregnancy?" you'd answer, "Yes." But it made absolutely no sense to go down that blind alley. It could never happen, and actually, it hadn't. Roman said that you were really messed up, that he's sorry, that you should get your head seen to, and that he'd pay for the abortion. You were humiliated, but surprisingly, you found the inner strength to say that you weren't telling him this because you wanted anything, least of all money, but because telling the father was the only thing you could do for the child. Nothing more, nothing less. You wanted to spit at him, but ultimately you settled for an insult. You no longer remember which insult. Then you left. Since then, Roman has called you many times, written emails saying he needs to talk to you urgently, but you haven't responded. Why should you? The hospital porter arrives and leads you all to the operating theatre door. There you sit on chairs again. The fat woman turns to the third woman and asks if this is her first. The third is evidently taken by surprise and answers, yes, of course. The fat woman is pleased. Apparently, she's here for the second time and is afraid again. She says you can only get one every 6 months. For a moment, your eyes go dark. It seems unreal that you're sitting here beside such a monster who routinely kills her children, and the only thing she's afraid of in the process is the anesthetic. She isn't afraid of God or her conscience. She isn't afraid of a demented grief for the mite currently quibbling happily inside her. She's afraid of being anaesthetized into absolute unconsciousness. You can't help shifting away from her onto the very edge of your chair. Surprised, the fat woman stops talking. She doesn't understand why you moved away. And actually, you don't understand that sharp physical revulsion either. Someone arrives. The voice tells you it's a woman. She's dressed in green, including her head covering and mask. She states your name. You're first. You get up and go with her, but the floor rises. It's a hill. It zigzags, reminding you of narrow back streets. You need to rest. The woman waits for you understandingly. You're dragging something incredibly heavy with you. It weighs you down unbearably. And even though somebody could help you, nobody does. They don't even give you anything to drink. Their eyes in their covered faces just laugh at you. Eyes that belong to no one. The eyes of the crowd. You're practically naked and your back is already terribly injured by the beating. You longed for hope, but killing is where it's at. You go into the theatre. The strong glow of the harsh lights is unbearable. All around are green people whose faces you can't see. They take the flimsy shirt off you, lead you to the bed, lay you down on it. They take your hands and look for where they can stick in the needle. You're crying, suffocating in the flood of tears running over your neck and from your closed eyes into your ears. The needle goes into one outstretched hand. It takes a long time. But your blood pressure is low. Today it's only 90/50, so your veins are hiding, and you understand. It doesn't work, so they extend the other hand and stick the needle into that one. You forgive them, because they're only doing their jobs. They lift your legs up high into the stirrups. Someone behind your head introduces themselves as the anaesthetist and asks about your weight again. Only with great difficulty can you answer 54 kilos. You hear a kind voice that says, in a moment they'll put you to sleep and you'll feel nothing, but you need to try to stop crying, even if it's hard for you. You try to calm your wild breast and stifle your sobs, not very successfully. The same voice says, "Are you completely certain you want this procedure?